Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about my first shots on this Walther Professional ACRO. This PDP is something that exceeded my expectations. I've never shot or owned a Walther before, and a lot of you guys kept telling me this is a gun I need to bring to the channel. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, for a long time my perception of what this gun was going to be versus what it is are night and day. Seeing images of this gun, I had definitely expected something clunky, oversized, super thick, heavy, and I can't explain why. But every time I saw an image of it, that was the first impression I got, and it steered me away from it. Now, after you guys kept telling me to get one of these, I did my research. And the one common theme I noticed was everyone who shot these loved these. They loved the ergonomics, they loved the way it shot, and they just said how reliable it was. So for me, I decided I had to get one for myself for the channel. So again, this is the Professional ACRO. This has the Pro trigger in it, and it is the full size with the magwell. So I want to talk about two reasons of what made me decide with this model, because there's a lot of good options. And at the end of this, I'm going to actually tell you the other model I think I might get after I finish my review of this. So what separates this from a lot of other PDPs is, one, it comes with this ACRO, but not only does it come with the ACRO, but it is actually specifically designed to direct mount an ACRO. So that to me is pretty cool, because I've heard things I did not like about their plate system. One was you get a plate with the gun, but you have to reach out to them, and then it can take up to 6 weeks to get a plate. To me, that kind of sucked, in the thought of like, I'm going to buy this gun and then I'm going to not have an optic for potentially 8 weeks. Now, if I'm not accurate with that information, this is just what I've heard in other videos, so please let me know in the comments below if you guys have had different experiences. The other thing that I've really liked about this, being a direct mount, is you can co-witness these iron sights, which to me is a huge plus. Obviously, that's something I look for in any gun, but specifically in something I potentially will carry. Having backup irons that co-witness through the red dot is almost a must for me. I know people will argue that it's not always necessary, but for me, I like that peace of mind, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the range with somebody and either their optic has failed or the battery died. Now, we're all human. I understand people forget to check their batteries and change it, and there's definitely been times, like, I kid you not, I checked my wife's gun the morning of the range and the red dot was good, and by the time we got to the range, it had died. So I'm just as guilty of that happening. So having backup irons is a must-have, because God forbid if that's a life or death situation where you checked it that morning and you knew it was good, you just need to have an alternate option, and irons always come in handy. The second thing I really like about the Professional is the iron sights are actual metal. Now, a lot of the PDP models come with what they call the industry standard, which is just plastic sights, which to me, I don't really like that. These sights here, they are metal, and they do have tritium in them, so that's an even bigger bonus right there. And honestly, the price difference for what this is compared to some of the other models, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of found a pretty good deal on Gunbroker on this specific model, and that's kind of why I jumped all over it. But for what you get in this package, I would argue this potentially could be the best striker-fired gun I've ever shot. So let's talk about my first shots. And I'm going to include a lot of B-roll because I want you guys to see just what that experience was like. Now, normally for my first shots, I used to do like 200 or 300 rounds for this specific range day, because I knew I had to zero a brand new optic that I've never used before. And I'll have a review coming up of this ACRO because I think it deserves its own review. And we won't talk about much of that in today's video because I will save that for after I get more shots on it. But talking about the ergonomics and everything entailed in this gun for first shots. So I will say, I'm pleasantly surprised, one, how light this gun is. And before we get too far, let me just show you guys this gun is clear. We are safe. I always like to get that disclaimer out of the way. And one more disclaimer I just want to mention before we go too deep into this is I did purchase this. This was not sent to me by Walther. I've noticed a lot of reviews that I've watched, the guns were sent to those people for review. In my personal opinion, I'm not going to say those people don't give you an honest perspective, because I don't think they all lie. But I do think the perspective does change when you save up your money and you use your own hard-earned money and make a purchase versus getting something sent to you. I think, at least for me, I would have a little bit more critical of a perspective of what I like and don't like. So I just think it's important for you guys to know that going into this video that yes, this was not sent to me. I would love if they sent me guns. So Walther, if you happen to watch this, I definitely got eyes on your 3.5 with the F grip. That one looks like an awesome carry. But sorry guys, back to the Professional ACRO. So the full size here, for whatever reason, I always would see these, in a gun case or in pictures online, and I really had this assumption that this grip was gonna be really, really thick, and the gun just looked heavy to me. Now, I can't explain it, but it's really not. It's honestly, it might be the lightest gun I've shot in a very long time. Now, obviously, polymer frame, and I've come off two recent guns that were both metal, so I get that, but just looking at the gun, the perception, and I think anyone who has not held one of these and just looked at it probably shares that thought that it's going to be a heavy gun. And it's not. Ergonomic-wise, I cannot say enough about how good this thing feels in the hand. It is surprisingly comfortable. And I do want to just let you know, I threw this X300 on after going to the range. We'll talk about that whole thing in a later video. But for first shots, I did not have the X300 on, so I don't want you guys seeing the B-roll and then getting confused. I just threw this on yesterday, not realizing I was doing this review today, and didn't feel like taking it off because honestly, I think it kind of fits the gun pretty damn good. And it's going to be the weapon light that I stick with because, it fits in my MSP holsters, and we're going to shoot this a lot more, get a couple more reviews, and get you guys more feedback. But sorry, I keep getting a little sidetracked, guys, so stay with me here. So talking about the ergonomics. Ergonomics, I think, are great. I think, I have a size large mechanics glove hands, and this gives me plenty of real estate to get my support hand on there. I really think it works well. If you have smaller hands, I think this would still work because that trigger is not super far up. I got plenty of reach on that. And if you have much larger hands, I think this won't be an option either. I kind of think this is in that perfect size range. And you do always have the options of changing out the back strap. It came with two other sizes. So if you were to get this or have this and did not think it fit well, you do have two other choices with that. So as far as ergonomics and weight, I think this thing feels great. It shot great. And I'm not going to lie, it took me a little bit to get comfortable to a new gun. Obviously spent the first little bit of time at the range zeroing the Optic. It was dramatically off, which I was surprised by because I watched a couple other videos on this specific model before getting it, and two people said, oh wow, the aim point is already zeroed. For me, that was not the case, so make sure if you get this or you get a gun with an Optic, always go to the range and take the time to zero that. I did a pretty rough zero for me. The wind was blowing super hard that day. It was cold as heck outside, and I really just wanted to shoot. So I got a real quick zero. Normally, I will get dialed in at 15 yards. I think we did about 7. I'll fix that in a follow-up range trip, really get it dialed into where I want it. But it was interesting learning the platform and learning the trigger and how this gun operates. So next I want to talk about the actual controls of this, because again, another thing that I was really surprised by, because I kept seeing pictures and videos and I'm like, wow, that slide release looks really awkward. It's super long. Granted, it is, ambidextrous, so that works for people who are wrong-handed. I can't say that in a bad way because I shoot rifle wrong-handed, so just saying that jokingly. But I was pleasantly surprised using this, how great that felt. Didn't have to break my grip. It worked perfectly. It worked easy. It was everything it was designed to do did great. I was really surprised because, again, a poor misassumption on my part that I really thought I was not going to like that. As far as the mag release, that is the perfect place. Great texturing. It worked out well. Again, don't have to break my grip to get that mag out. And I really was surprised just how nice that was with the ergonomics, because for whatever reason, like looking at these guns for the longest time, I just did not think I would like them. Really stupid to me. I probably should have checked one out sooner, because I really do like shooting this gun. I look forward to getting better with this gun as I shoot it more. And there's definitely other models that I want to try out now. So talk about the magwell. I think the magwell is a great addition on here. I'm going to get some time carrying this in the waistband, and we'll see just how clunky that feels. I could see that possibly being issue printing. But I think all in all, a magwell is always a great option. I've never had anything that had a magwell like this before, so I like it. I'll have to be honest with you after I carry it and tell you whether or not it's a pro or con for me. But going back to first shots, yeah, I think it definitely was a great addition to this and made the pleasantry of shooting the gun that much more. Now, as far as reloads, let's talk about that, because this is something I personally don't think is a negative, but I've had people ask me this in other reviews. So when loading a full mag, I did notice that about 50% of the time, the gun will automatically send the slide home and chamber around. Whether or not you think that is a good or bad thing, I'll let that be up to you. For me, I'd rather it be every time or not every time. Being about 50% of the time, and it could just be a break-in period, I don't like the inconsistency. If it were to do it every time, I think that would actually be a bonus, because just the slam of the mag and you're already ready to shoot again, I think that's definitely a pro, especially in the right scenario. But the inconsistency of not knowing whether or not that's going to happen every time, I have mixed feelings on that. So we will come back to this in a further review after I get about 1,000 rounds on this, and I'll let you know if that changes or gets better or worse. But it's definitely something worth keeping note of, because I definitely noticed it in the first 400 rounds. So next I want to talk about the recoil impulse of this thing. And I will say, for as big of a gun it is, it does have more of a recoil than I would expect. Now, I'm not saying that as in it's bad. I don't think it's, exceptionally snappy, but I definitely did notice more recoil than I anticipated. Probably also coming from heavier metal guns, that's probably what it is. Also me, learning a new grip. Obviously, I need more time on it, but my first thoughts at that first range test, I was kind of surprised. It's not a negative from me, but it definitely did shock me. Also, it could be in relation to this optic that has a smaller window than I'm used to, that I noticed I'd have to wait for it to come back down to see the dot again. So again, that could be something that just takes time from me learning the platform and getting more comfortable with it. But it's something I will touch on again in a follow-up review, just worth mentioning as my first shots. I will say, though, the return to zero was awesome. Although I did notice it had a bit of a hop, it came down and it got exactly where I wanted to every time. That is awesome to me. Now, whether or not that changes after the addition of the light, I will let you guys know in my next review. Because again, in that first range session, I did not have this light on, primarily because this gun did not fit in my normal Condition 1 range case. Actually ended up buying a new one and have a video coming out on that soon. But because I had to carry it in the case you get from Walther, I did not have a light on it. Normally, I would put a light on right away and go with it. But from here on out, it will have the light. So if that changes anything, again, that will be in a follow-up review. So let's talk about the trigger, guys, because that is probably the one thing that sets this thing apart more than anything else. So just to show you, there's super, super little take-up. Define wall and break. And the reset, super short. This trigger makes this gun. I can't say enough good about this trigger. This is honestly the first striker-fired gun I shot where I really enjoyed the trigger. And in a future review, I do want to test a theory I have, because I did order a gauge to measure the weight. And I noticed where I typically hold versus later in my range test, I started pulling lower. It made it that much better because, thinking leverage, we have a hinge here. The further you go, the more easier it is to pull. It made the trigger significantly better pulling down below. And that, to me, really, really made the range session better, because once I did that, I'm like, wow, well, now I feel super comfortable with this. Let's take this back as far as this bay goes, which I think is about 20 yards. The outdoor range I go to has different sized bays, and depending on how busy it is, you never really know which one you're going to get. I was lucky I got one of the longer ones, and I think the table's about 15 yards. I think the end of the bay is about 20-ish. So I'll have to measure it next time, but shooting the small circles from that distance is typically how I test myself to see how well I'm doing with a platform. So I did some of that, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't do perfect, but I know I'm also learning a brand new gun, and that is something for me to look forward to training on. And for me personally, guys, if there's one thing I look forward in a firearm, especially when I'm reviewing, and especially if I'm going to recommend, is the fun of shooting a gun. And what do I mean by that? If I don't enjoy shooting a gun, it's very hard for me to go to the range and want to train. And I think that makes sense when you say it out loud, because I've personally had guns that I trained with for years, and I kept hearing, you got to train, and then you'll get better and you'll like it more. Well, yeah, I got better, but I never liked it more. And I started shooting other guns, and I'm like, wow, I actually enjoy shooting. So for me, having a new gun that I enjoy shooting and feel comfortable shooting and feel confident in the sense I want to push myself a little further. Can I take the distance back when I do transitions? And, I'm just an everyday civilian. I'm not trained in this other than what I've been putting in the past 6 years on the range by myself. So for me, that is something I look for, something that I actually want to shoot. So I was pleasantly surprised that this trigger, definitely for me, makes this gun what it is. As a total package, I think it's a great gun. Now, if things change in the next couple times I go to the range, I'll let you guys know, but so far, I'm pleasantly surprised. I like this thing more than I expected myself to, and in ways I didn't think I was going to, because again, I never held one, never shot one, didn't know anyone who had one, and a lot of the stores that I frequent never had them in stock. So I really bought this blindly, not knowing whether or not it was going to be good or not. So I just want to say, all in all, I think the first 400 rounds went exceptionally well. I really don't have any negatives to speak of at this point. Obviously, you'll see in the B-roll, I mean, I have some work to do. I've got to learn this platform, got to get more proficient with it. After the next range session, I think it will be to the point where I'm comfortable enough with it. I'll test some carry ammo and I will start carrying it so that when I hit 1,000 rounds, I can give you guys an honest review of it. But at this point so far, everything that I see, feel, and have noticed has definitely been good. I think the Walther Professional ACRO is definitely, it's the complete package. I mean, you got 4 size options that come with the ACRO that do co-witness. You get the full size here, that is the 4.5 inch barrel with the full size in the magwell. You get the compact, I think that's a 4 inch, and then you can get the 4 inch also in the F series. So if you really want something more dedicated to a carry that is already coming with an optic, I think the 4 inch F series is probably the way to go. I have not held that one yet. I really want to hold it because if I like this, I'm sure I will like that more. You know, my carry for 2 years was an X macro, and that has a very thin grip. So that being thinner than this, I think I would like it. Again, I don't want to assume too much because I know with this, it definitely is pleasantly surprised me. So far, everything is good on this. Again, guys, if you have not shot a Walther PDP Pro with this trigger, go shoot one before you try any other striker fire gun, because honestly, this trigger is really what will make striker fires worth shooting, in my opinion. I know everyone, that's probably going to bother a lot of Glock people out there because Glock triggers just suck. And everyone says you can just train on it and train on it. And I'm here to tell you, I'd rather you go check out a gun that I think you're going to enjoy shooting right out of the box. In my opinion, and what I've noticed with friends of mine, if you get a gun that you enjoy shooting, you shoot more often. And then you get more proficient quicker. Versus buying something you don't like shooting and forcing yourself to shoot even though you don't like it. And then you maybe don't go shooting as much and don't become proficient, and you might not carry because you're not really comfortable. So that's my perspective, and that's why I always encourage people to get something that I think they will enjoy and will be reliable and something that they can actually want to shoot. So I hope I covered everything, guys. I made myself a cheat sheet if you kind of noticed me glancing down, looking over some notes. Just wanted to really cover this all because, again, I was pleasantly surprised with how much I really enjoyed shooting this gun. I really didn't know what to expect going into it. For how big this thing is, man, it's deceivingly lightweight. And I mean that in the best of ways because it makes it that much more of an option for carry. So I do have a specific holster ordered for it so I can mount it with this light, throw it in the waistband, and I will let you guys know what I think. But yeah, you guys will definitely get more of this to come. If there's something you want to know specifically, as always, guys, ask me in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I see it. I try to get right back to my comments the same day because I enjoy that interaction with you guys. I appreciate your feedback. It means a lot. I appreciate your support. So thank you for tuning in, and definitely stay around because we are going to have more stuff coming. If you guys have not already, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. It means a lot. It helps the algorithm. And I got plenty more good things to come, guys. Peace.